Let's forget about the specs and go straight into real world use, and I'll put it right out there. The Note 20 is a much better phone than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So much so that it hurts me going back to the iPhone after using the Note. It's been 2 weeks since I got it in, and in this video I'll share exactly what I love about the Note 20 and the few things that keep me from switching over completely. But with that said, I am right there on the edge and may end up ditching Apple. I'll explain why in just a bit. I'll also mention why I think that the Note 20 Ultra is a much better phone than the S20 Ultra. Let's start out with the look and feel in the hand. My iPhone has a large 6.5-inch display, which is big, but the Note 20 Ultra's is 6.9 inches, which may not seem like a big difference, but in the real world, trust me, you definitely notice it. A big reason is the camera cutout is very small instead of a large notch, and the corners of the screen are barely curved and with tiny bezels. Going back to the iPhone feels outdated. Now at this point, I would also ditch Face ID for 3 reasons. First, the notch it requires is ugly. Second, Face ID is a pain to use during these COVID times. And no, you cannot register your face with a mask on. And third is that Samsung's under-display fingerprint tech has gotten super fast and reliable. Believe it or not, the Note 20 is also actually more comfortable to hold in the hand. It is taller, but it's actually slightly narrower, and the super slim frame makes it feel slimmer. My biggest complaint with the S20 was the thickness and the weight. Not only did Samsung slim it down, but also lower the weight, which makes it feel lighter in the hand than the 11 Pro Max, especially against that chunky S20 Ultra. Now with that thinning, the camera bump had to get thicker. But that change was actually for the good, as my finger can actually rest there and help support the phone instead of just digging into my finger like the S20 does. And to top it off, I love how the Note's bottom and top is flat, which is perfect since I tend to rest my finger there to support the weight. Overall, if you spend a lot of time holding your phone, responding to emails, and doing other things, it is definitely more comfortable than the iPhone. Now, speaking of productivity, I try to get used to the S Pen and force myself to use it, but once again, it is just not for me, so it just stays in the phone pretty much all the time. Now with this gorgeous display, I am still having auto brightness issues. Maybe the iPhone just nails it all the time, or I'm used to its algorithm, but the Samsung phones need more tweaking, especially in dimmer lighting. One thing that keeps shocking me every time I pick up and use the Note 20 are the speakers. Wow, do they sound good. I was expecting the same speakers from the S20, but no. Samsung made a bunch of changes to them, and here, just take a listen. They're still loud like the S20s, which I love, but now the sound is much more rich and full, and it's more balanced for stereo listening. On top of the sound quality improvements, the back of the phone has way less vibrations when you're listening at full volume, which was a big complaint with the S20 Ultra. With that comes the media experience, and it's really good. Pairing these speakers to that gorgeous 6.9-inch widescreen OLED makes for some great video watching, and the square display edges and the tiny cutout is so much nicer than the iPhone since that notch is gone, and the video, especially widescreen video, fills almost the whole screen. I do have to point out 2 downsides. First, it really bugs me if I'm watching a video with the phone on the desk. The Note 20's camera bump really just makes it lay flat and kind of awkward, and that's kind of annoying. Second is that with iOS 14, my iPhone's HDR does pop a little bit more now. Before it was actually worse, and I can stream in 4K, which finally makes the video look just as good as the Note's detail-wise with its high-res screen. But this is where I have to get into a huge issue with my iPhone. When I'm on the go, I can't ever use that 4K streaming option or even 1440p. Heck, most of the time I can't even do 1080p even if I have good LTE service. Now I know this depends on your city and how busy the networks are, but there is no doubt that the Note 20's 5G is way faster, and that's just using sub 6, not the millimeter wave ultra fast 5G. Yesterday, with full bars, 1080p would just buffer on the iPhone for me, so I did a speed test and it got 6.2 megabits per second. I popped the SIM into the Note 20 and streamed 1440p video perfectly. Earlier in the day, I actually tested at the office and my iPhone got 13.7 megabit per second, while the Note 20 got 59. This data speed is noticeable, and it's something that not very many reviewers actually talk about. If you're in a city with faster speeds, the Note will still be about twice as fast as the iPhone, at least in all of my testing. Now back to the screens, I ended up going back to the higher quality 60 FPS mode after a few days of using 120Hz. Now it is really nice, but having text being noticeably softer than the iPhone, it really started to bug me. The Note has very fast animations, so even using it at 60 Hz, it feels snappier than the iPhone, but I really wish that we could have a combo of the higher res and the faster refresh rate. Now the A13 Bionic is faster, but in Antutu, the Note is actually better for graphics and memory speeds, and for gaming, the Note 20 is really nice, especially because of the larger, more full display. I noticed no drop frames or stuttering, gaming was super smooth and enjoyable. One major difference that's really starting to literally make me mad with my iPhone is background apps. The Note 20's 12 gigs of RAM keeps my apps open seemingly forever, whereas the iPhone's 4 GB is frustrating, especially the times where I go to take a photo and an app that I was just using closes. Now the battery did seem to drain faster than the iPhone's, even though it's a little bit bigger at 4,500 milliamp hours compared to just under 4,000 for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but I would say I got about an hour less screen on time, and that's using the high-res display mode and having that always on display. The S20 Ultra has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, but I would gladly trade that for the slimmer chassis of the Note 20, especially because charging is so fast. It takes about an hour from an empty battery compared to about 2 hours with the iPhone using its 18-watt fast charger. It also tops off much faster because the iPhone takes about an hour and a half to get from 50% to 100, whereas the Note takes only about 30 minutes. And now let's talk about the cameras, and I have to say they are great. This is what Samsung wanted to achieve with the S20 Ultras, but they failed at. Part of this is software optimizations, but the other part is the laser autofocusing addition, and because of it, the autofocusing was great on this phone. I literally didn't have a single time that I noticed that something messed up, which happened quite often on the S20 Ultra. Comparing the photos to the iPhone, they are at times neck and neck when using the main sensors, but when using the ultra-wide or the telephoto, the Note 20 looks much more detailed. I know that Apple won't put in the same kind of super zoom lens in the next iPhone, but I really wish they would because you get just so much more detail for those shots. The other massive difference is you could do night mode shots with the ultra wide and the front facing camera, which makes it look so much better and actually usable instead of being horrible they have to throw away on the iPhone. As far as the video, the iPhone still looks better, and it could do 4K 60 with any of the cameras. The Note 20 did improve over the S20, and it looks good. It also has 8K, but it's still mostly unusable in that mode because of shake, and it barely looks better than the 4K. Now, I have said a lot of positives for the Note 20, but there are some negatives. I think the biggest one is Samsung's skin. It's not a deal breaker, but I much prefer the Pixel phones, the OnePluses, and of course iOS, as far as being a modern look and feel. And of course, we have that big difference between iOS and Android. Both have their pluses and minuses, but right now I am moved back to the iPhone because of my Apple Watch, my Mac, and iCloud with iMessage, but I'm still right there at the edge of switching. And I know people say, hey, stop using iMessage as an excuse and iCloud, but to be honest, if most of your friends and family have iPhones and you're sharing videos and images, you're sharing iCloud links and using that, it's just so convenient compared to switching over to a Samsung or an Android phone and sending out photos that get compressed like crazy through text or having to force yourself to use other services, especially with older people. The Note 20 is a much better phone overall than the iPhone, and it's interesting that finally, after so many years, it is Apple that is playing catch up every year instead of Samsung. If the iPhone 12 does not fix some of these big issues, I think I'll permanently have to become an Android user. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you like our videos, go ahead and pick up a Max Tech shirt or maybe one of these awesome face masks in our merch shelf down below or that link. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Max, and I will see you in the next video.